everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is April if you're new here, and today I'm doing the end of the year book tag. I actually am doing the one from, I think it's Destiny Reads. I'll link her below. I know there's like a couple end of the year book tags. One was a little bit shorter and this one had some other questions that I really wanted to do. So I'm just gonna go with this one. Let's just get right into it. Coming out strong is the most disappointing book. A Dark and Drowning Tide was this book for me. I wanted to absolutely love it because it is a sapphic dark academia book. And look at this cover. This is honestly one of the most beautiful covers of the year for me as well. I couldn't get more than a few pages in it because that made me feel dumb. I was so confused about what's going on. It was using a lot of words and I was just like, I felt like I wasn't smarmy enough to read it. And I just don't like feeling dumb in books. Okay, I don't like feeling dumb in books. So, I DNF'd it. I DNF'd it and I was so sad about that because I really expected to love this. I love fantasy romance. I love sapphic books. I love dark academia. Maybe one day when I feel smarter, I'll give this another shot. But as of right now, it's a no. Underdog book of the year, The Scattered Bones. This is definitely criminally underhyped book. It's a friends to lovers fantasy romance that is a standalone and under 300 pages, and it is absolutely heartbreaking and devastating. Y'all need to read it. Basically what's happening is she's literally killing herself all across the realm to find her lover's body parts so a stranger can sew them back together for her. It's absolutely bonkers. It has a crazy unique plot that I really loved and devastating and heartbreaking, so just know that going into it. But I never expected to like something like that, and I absolutely do. A book that was overhyped, I'm gonna say it, Phantasma, super overhyped for me. The premise of this again is super cool. In fact, it reminds me of another show on Netflix, the Alice in Borderlands, with the game type situations, the deadly game type situations going on. And those parts were super cool. Like, I will admit, the game's cool. The romance, terrible. Hated the romance in this. I felt like it was really just a drag on the story overall, and it really just kept stopping the momentum of the story for me. Also, like, you're going through the 9 levels of hell in this, and each of them has a set of games. And I just felt like it was super repetitive. In fact, even in the book, I feel like one of the games the author was just like gave up on. So, because it was over like that. Yeah, I liked it, but I think it wasn't like the standout of the year for me in any way. So that for that reason alone, I think it's overhyped. Like, it's a good book, but to say that it's like the best book of the year, that's a little much. Favorite book couples of the year, 2 clear standouts. Josh and Allie from Lights Out, and also Dante and Cherry from That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. Both my 2 favorite characters. What I love most in couples and characters are when they play with each other. And both of these, they play with each other. They have a good time together. And it's just kind of those, you know, when communication and conversation comes easy, you know there's something magical and special about that, and it makes you want that person even more. And I think that's why I like both of these couples the most. Favorite main character of the year is the one I can't even say. It's Thais from The Mistress Experience. She's a sex worker. She holds nothing back. She knows who she is and she's not ashamed of herself, but she's also just lonely and also wanting her HEA. And I loved this woman so much. She was so fantastic, and I love this book too. And yeah, I just love her. She's like definitely one of my favorite characters. A book that surprised me was actually Fear the Flames, Only because when I heard about this book, I thought it was very densely fantasy with a little bit of romance. But when I read it, it was actually a good mix of both. That may be because it first came out as self-published, and then when she went indie or got picked up, they had a big editing session. Google said it was like a 900-page book. I don't think it was. I think that's kind of wrong, but it was definitely much longer than the finished edition when it went to the published edition. And whatever they did made it more romanticy-esque, made it much easier to swallow, in my opinion. It was a fast-paced story. The romance was good. And I expected to be like, have to put my fantasy bro hat on and like just be in that world. But I didn't have to be. It was still very much an easy to read for me, and I really, really ended up loving it. New favorite authors that I discovered, I have a lot, so I'm just gonna list them. Evie Marceau, absolutely love that series, the White Horse Black Knight series. Casso Shire, a monster romance I can get behind that's also sweet and cozy. Who am I? I don't know, but Casso Shire made me find that part of myself. Penn Cole, can't go without Penn Cole and Callie Hart, like the absolute queens of fantasy romance right now. Come on. Carrie Lake, my gothic queen, Carrie Lake. Holly Wilde, the girl that makes me smile like until my face hurts. God, love it. Imogen Keeper, my romantic suspense post-apocalyptic girl. Love your series, hun. Alexis Minardi gave something unique to me, and I absolutely loved that. Nicole Scarano, of course, the Scattered Bones author. Love you. And then also Joelle Wellington. Joelle Wellington wrote Their Vicious Games, which is a YA thriller, which is probably the only YA book I read this year, and it was 5 stars. It was amazing. I want to read more from you. Happiest read. I'm putting the Kaiju Preservation Society on here because this book John Scalzi literally wrote instead of another book he was supposed to write, which was much more heartbreaking and devastating, I guess. It was more involved, and instead it was COVID times, and he's like, I need happy times. So he wrote this book, and this book is absolutely happy times. It's just about people who take care of kaiju monsters in a whole other realm. It's like this big secret society type thing, and they just want to keep the kaiju monsters happy. It's just really sweet. Another one that was my happiest read, of course, was The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. Again, like I cannot read that book without having a smile on my face, so it's definitely a happy read. Most frustrating book, Castles of Never and Nightmares. I was so frustrated by this book because it's a spin-off series. And I know it's a spin-off series from her Fae Guardian series. However, I really don't think that you have to read an entire 10-book series before this to understand the world. This is a book 1. Whether it's a spin-off or not, it is a book 1. And you should be able to explain the world at this point and point to a new group of readers. Like, that's the whole point of these spin-offs. You're kind of like, I know it's the next generation, but also you're trying to grab new readers as well to join this. And if you are like writing this in a way that you're forcing your readers to read your other 10-book series, it just sucks, man. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to just jump into this one because everything else about this book was cool. It's why I choose it. There's trials in it and games, and I wanted to love this. It was still cool, and I really liked the characters, but I don't know if I want to continue on with it because the world is very confusing. It is incredibly intricate, very confusing. I just don't want, I get really intimidated with long-standing series that have already been out, and I don't want to go back and read those. I want to read this one. So I was very frustrated by that. Best adaptation, Wicked, of course. Wicked. I don't think there's anything else that even comes close. I know it's not, technically it's a book adaptation, but really this is an adaptation on the musical. The musical is an adaptation on the book, but really the book and this movie, not the same thing, so don't go into it thinking it is. The movie and the musical, definitely the same thing, but like not the book. I haven't seen it yet, by the way. I don't care. It's still going to be the best one I ever saw. Longest book of the year was Heat of the Everflame. It was 776 pages. And my shortest book was My Hot Dog Came to Life and Screwed Me. 18 glorious pages, let me tell you that. My favorite covers of the year, The Mistress Experience, which I already talked about. I think that cover is absolutely beautiful. Seduced by the Swamp Creature, which actually somebody recently gifted me. I have it over there. I'm not gonna get up and go take it down. That cover is just beautiful. Whispers of the Deep, actually, Emma Hamm's covers are incredibly gorgeous as well. I love her covers. I wish I liked this book a little bit more than I actually did. It's not bad by any means. It's just like I wanted to like it more. I'm still gonna read the next book. The next book is one I'm really excited about. And then one I haven't read, but I love the artist's work, is Bourbon and Lies. Bourbon and Lies, I'm going to be reading this because art like this makes me want to read books that I honestly probably would never pick up otherwise. So yeah, covers are important. Please make beautiful ones. A book you haven't stopped thinking about, Quicksilver, and definitely That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. I think about those all the time, and I just love them. Cringiest book. This was the book that was my #1 in my worst books of the year, The Halloween Blumpkin. Literally, it's a crap book. An unpopular book that you loved, Pounded by Pluto. I thought this was really smart and funny. It's a total just sarcastic jest on Neil deGrasse Tyson, like just making fun of him the entire time. And I think it's satire. It's satire wrapped in this erotic romance about a non-planet, a planet that's not a planet. It was great, honestly. I loved it. What was the highest and lowest rated books? I was shocked by the highest rated book. The highest rated book that I read was Shift. This is a book in the Kyleverse. It was a 4.49 on Goodreads. And it didn't just have 1 or 2 ratings on it. It had quite a few. So I was like, what? This book is just a sex fest. Kyle's a weird dude. He has a lot of sex with weird things. It's an sentient object type of romance series. And Shift is with a werewolf lawn ornament for Halloween, so it wasn't the weirdest thing I've read, but it was fine. If you just want to like a book that's a sex fest and make it weird, I mean, you might like it. And then the lowest book, of course, was the Blumpkin book. Is it Blumpkin or Bumpkin? I always get this wrong. I don't care. I wish to never see this book again. It is 1 star, and that 1 star is exactly only me, because I'm the only stupid idiot that read this book. So if you go to Goodreads and see the review, it's because it's just me. That's it. Nobody's read this, and I'm the only dummy who did. Favorite quotes? I'm not gonna go look it up, but there's a quote, and I think it was Quicksilver. I'm pretty sure it was Quicksilver, where he's like, "Take your throne, princess," and then shortly after that he says, "I can say that on the internet and I'm not gonna get flagged." But it was like, when he said that, it shocked me. It shocked me, but also I started laughing hysterically. I think it was supposed to be hot, but I just started laughing hysterically because it came out of left field. It was like, what? Wait, what? What a move, sir. What a move. Book with the most unique concept. The Scatterbounds, which we talked about already. Also Thrum. I think Thrum was a really unique concept. It was basically this sentient ship that was gaslighting the heroine the entire time. It's a sci-fi horror romance. To me, I don't think it was much of a romance, but I still really enjoyed the eeriness and the creepiness of this book. And I thought it was a really cool concept, this alien ship that's kind of sentient and like has a relationship with this girl that discovers it. And then Philomena and the Seven Deaths was another one I read that I think that was a really cool concept. She has to die. She has to die, and every time she dies, she basically gets more and more powerful, and she's supposed to end the world. So like while she doesn't want to die, also she's starting to crave this power, and she dies in all these strange ways. And every time she does, she meets like a new creature. It's a why choose. Like Cthulhu is one of them. There's just like, it was a really, really cool concept. I think at times it lagged for me, which prevented me from giving it a higher score, but I really, really enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed my time reading it. And I love when like authors take risks like this and just do something a little different. And then also House of Bane and Blood, because it was like a Peaky Blinders fantasy romance, but it was like, what is it? Steampunk kind of romance. And you have these competing houses and a forced marriage, and you know, there's a train. It has to do with a train in London, and it's dark. And I thought that was a cool concept as well. And I definitely want to read the next book in that series. A book that you would reread. I'm not a huge rereader, honestly. Most of the time I will not reread books. I just want to get to the next one, you know? But I think a book that I would reread would be Quicksilver, and I would reread it on audiobook. Only because everyone keeps saying that the audiobook is really good and well acted. And I want to hear that. I want to hear it. I want to hear Fisher's voice. You know what I mean? So I might actually reread that on audiobook if I can. When the next one comes out, I don't know. I could be totally lying to myself, because let's be honest, I don't reread books. Reading goal reflection plus 2025 reading goal. As far as reading goals go, I don't really have a lot of reading goals. I kind of keep them all the same, like every year, and I don't put a lot of thought into it, honestly. My goals that I always have is to read 100 books, which is a totally arbitrary number. And if I don't hit it, it's cool. And if I do, that's awesome. I don't know why. I just set it at 100 books and go, okay. But it's really, I'm not really paying attention to how many books I read that much at all. I want to continue reading indie and self-published authors. I just really enjoy discovering new authors and what these new voices can bring to the table. I really like promoting smaller self-published and indie authors on my channel. So that's one thing I want to continue. I'm always going to read big books too. But like, I really do like trying to find those like smaller gems, like the Scattered Bones, you know what I mean? And then always I want to expand my diverse reads. I'm gonna be quite honest and say that some authors don't always say outwardly that they're BIPOC or that they're LGBTQ or anything like that. So I'm largely guessing at these sometimes. The really only way I tell is if their characters and everything are diverse as well. So I'm really trying to find more of those authors that interest me, the stories that interest me. I can find them really easily in contemporary. I can find them really easily in fantasy and YA and stuff like that, but I'm not reading a lot of those books. I am reading a lot of romantasy and historical romance, and there isn't a lot of diversity in those categories. So I'd like to find more in those categories because those are the books that I want to read. So totally transparent, I clocked in about under 20% of books were diverse in 2024. So that's why I always say I always want to expand that. I know I've gotten a higher percentage in previous years. I don't know what went on this year, but we're going to keep trying. We're always going to be trying and striving. So I know I have some diverse reads that are on my radar in 2025, so I want to make sure I read those. And then I don't understand the question 22. It says, after 2025 reading, what are you prioritizing in 2024 reading wise? What does that mean? Why would I go back to prioritize 2024 after I read 2025? Oh, am I just dumb on this question? Maybe the years are mixed up. Maybe it says after 2024 reading. What are you prioritizing in 2025? I have a whole video of 2025 releases. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's all romantasy all the time because I am in that phase right now, and forever and always I will be in that phase. But all of those books I would like to prioritize again, prioritizing a lot more diverse reads and just books that I really want to read. I'm always going to prioritize something that I feel like can bring me joy and happiness. So that's what I'm gonna do. And there you go, that's the end of the year book tag. Let me know if you liked any of my picks or if any of these shocked you in any way. And as always, thank you for watching my videos and I'll see you next time. Bye.